Sometimes scenes get deleted from movies for good reason, and I think that's the case with almost all of the deleted scenes from Midsommar. In the director's cut of the movie Midsommar, there's like an extra 22 to 24 minutes of content. Let's go over some of this extra deleted content, shall we? One thing that's in the director's cut, in the very beginning of the movie, when they are driving into the cult's location in Sweden, one of the characters is holding a book about the cult that has a swastika on it. In the final version of the movie, there's obviously a lot of themes and a lot of messages about white supremacy being a part of this cult, but I feel like having the swastika so open in the initial car ride on their way there was kind of too big of a red flag realistically for Danny to ignore. So I feel like ultimately that's why it was taken out of the movie. I think it was just too obvious. Another thing in the director's cut is that Christian finds out immediately upon entering the cult that the redheaded woman is actually a 14-year-old girl. They also cut out multiple parts where Christian actually pursues her and tries to talk to her first and is flirtatious with her. I think ultimately they decided to drop this storyline because it makes their situationship later in the movie a different dynamic than what it actually ended up being in the final film. I think it's a good thing that they took this part out of the movie because I think you would have had way too many people missing the point that the cult was trying to groom Christian, and I feel like people would have just sided with the cult and felt bad for this girl, which should not be what's happening in this situation, so I'm glad that they changed her age. That being said, they also cut out a scene where the very first night that they are participating at the cult, there's a scene where they are trying to drown a little boy, and Danny realizes what they're doing and stops them. To be clear, they're trying to tie him to something heavy and like throw him in the lake in a sacrificial way. The boy volunteers to be the person to do this, but Danny tells them no, and then they stop. But then Danny just sleeps there, and then they just have all the regular cult stuff the next day, which that's supposed to be where the more crazy stuff happens. I feel like this was cut out at the beginning of the movie just because it's way too early to be getting that crazy, but that would have been a really cool scene for later on in the movie. I wish they would have kept it. The last thing really worth remarking upon that they changed up in the movie, they took out a few extra fighting scenes between Danny and Christian. There's one really notable one that you can actually find on YouTube if you're interested. And Ari Aster, the creator of the movie, actually regrets not putting this scene into the final film. It's the scene that he was the saddest to cut out of the movie. It just has your typical gaslighting and neglectfulness from Christian, but it really shows their dynamic pretty well.
I have some serious information regarding the serial killer who is on the loose in California right now. Basically, if you haven't seen my prior videos, there's a serial killer who is on the loose right now in California who has already claimed 6 victims, and authorities are worried that he's looking for his next target. Police have stated that they still do not know the identity of the killer, but they have stated that they have raised the reward for any valuable information regarding his identity or his whereabouts to $115,000 at the time of this recording. We also have some information regarding the names of a couple of the victims that he's taken so far. So far, we have Alexander Yaw, Salvador Dubuti Jr., Jonathan Hernandez Rodriguez, and Juan Cruz. Most of the killings have taken place in the early hours of the morning while it's still dark out. We're talking from 12 a.m. to 4, 5, 6 a.m. So once again, I tell you this. If you live in Stockton, California or Central California, please try to limit how much you go out at nighttime, and I'll keep you updated with any more information.
Disturbing moments caught at Disneyland.
The scariest legends in Virginia. Night Walkers. The Ragdoll Spirit. Toby. The Mist Wraith.